So Margaret and Betty left Brentwood one morning down the road in a car. And they're driving down Central, and all of a sudden, Margaret, she comes up at the lights going yellow and then turning red, and she goes right through it. And Betty looks up and goes, "Margaret!" And they keep going down Central Avenue, and in a minute they come upon another red light. Well, Margaret runs it again. And Betty went, "Margaret!" They go through again. A light turns just yellow to red, and Margaret goes right through it. And Betty says, "Margaret, if you don't start paying attention to your driving, you're going to get us killed." And Margaret says, "I'm driving?" I'm here today to tell you that you are the driver of your own life. Everything you see, everything you're experiencing is because you have chosen to be the driver of your own life. Today we are talking about an amazing life that's envisioned. And our vision of life precedes our life experience itself. And so we see this space of possibility that lies before us. We hold ideas, we hold images, we hold pictures, we hold conversation, we hold language, and then we co-create what we are then walking into. Now, the first time I told that story here at First Unity, I just started here about 15 years ago, and Dr. Gloria Paul, she got mad at me, said, "I didn't like that story, you're making fun of elderly people." I said, "You missed the whole point of the story." Okay, I get the AARP magazine myself, so I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm just knowing that sometimes I laugh at myself because I need to remember that I'm the driver here of my own life, and many of you, we just need to come together and go, "Whoa, I'm in charge. Wait a minute." Nothing or no one has any power over me, no condition, no circumstance, no limitation, no tattoo, no anything, unless I have given it full permission to do so. Big breath? Big breath, yes. So when we look at life, Rick Warren, and probably the most sold religious book of all times was Rick Warren, The Purpose-Driven Life. And he said very clearly that in life, too often we focus on the weeds in our lives rather than the plants. And we put too much energy into the weeds. And we need to put energy into the plant system and fertilize it. And we need to watch it grow, and we need to nurture it. When we're talking about plants here at Unity, we're talking about our consciousness. We need to nurture our mind and our hearts and be very clear about where we give our attentiveness to. People that say, "It doesn't matter, I don't care," has a life that gets used instead of a life that gets used up. There's a big difference and a very big distinction. Yes, you can clap, we're in church, I like clapping. So if you are living a life saying, "It doesn't matter, I don't care, it's no big deal," you get a lot of that in your life. The universe says, "You are my beloved with whom I am well pleased. I have created you. You matter. We care about you. Live your best life." Show them how it's done. That's that space, you see. Weeds, I don't know what it is about weeds. Ernest Holmes used to say that weeds, they're a plant whose potential is yet to be realized. We've got some weeds that have grown at our house so much better than the plants. I've called them plants now. People go, "What is that?" I go, "I don't know, but it's a plant." Are you sure it's not a weed? It's a plant. Okay, because, you know, right? And so it's like, what are the weeds that we have going on in our culture today? Well, for some reason, if we're talking about an amazing life, a life that is envisioned, it's time for us to do something. These are dated facts and figures, but the American Institute of Stress, we have one of those now, they find that 75% to 90% of all American people who go to a primary doctor for the first time is a stress-related issue. The numbers are staggering in that Americans go through 5 billion barbiturates every year, 5 billion other forms of medication, 3 billion amphetamines. Oh, the tranquilizers was the other. 16 tons of aspirin per year. Per year. Everybody breathe that in. That is not a condition without hope. For me, it's a condition that we are called to envision having influence. In other words, can't beat them, don't join them. You understand that? Don't join them. And so when we look at these numbers, what we know is we need to be sure what our religion is. And people say, well, I don't have a religion. Well, good for you. How's your life going? You have a belief system, and that belief system is the driver of your automobile that we call life, right? We have a subtle religion coming upon people this day and time, and it's called I am busy. It's a mantra. It's become like a chant. How are you? You know, how are you? I'm so busy. I'm busy. And what's interesting is then people start one-upping each other. Well, let me tell you, you think you're busy? Wait till you hear about my week. I know none of you do this. I'm doing this for your relatives, okay? Oh, you're busy. Oh my God, you think you're busy. Oh my, I don't even know how I'm still around today. I'm still in last night finishing up what I didn't get finished over there. Yeah, I'm still living the day that happened 3 days ago because my to-do list, I forgot to put me on it. I am so busy. And it is an energy field. And it becomes like a cry. When people say, I'm busy, it's a cry. They either need a hug or a breath or a space. It's a cry because the shift is that we are driving. And we decided to make a commitment to whatever it is. The question is, are we making a commit to the plants or are we making a commitment to the weeds? If we spend so much time focusing on what is consuming us that we don't want to be a part of, then we lessen the opportunity of all the good stuff that we would really like to live for. Yes? Are you with me on that? You with me on that? We all go through moods. We all have spaces. We all have energy. You know, Peggy Sandin was the best astrologer that I ever knew in my life. And I would call her sometimes and I'd say, Peggy, what is happening? I feel like my moon and my sun are trying to occupy the same space. What is going on, you know? And she could explain things to me that I went, I knew it. I knew it was something that was happening that measured the earth, that was bringing in that space. And I knew it intuitively, but I just wanted somebody to tell me that. We all go through spaces that we have our moments. But fundamentally, it's like we want to learn how to live in a space that I'm just present with where I am right now. And then what happens after that, I decide. Say that with me. What happens after that? I decide. And everything that fits in accordingly in my calendar and in my life, I decide. It's very empowering. It's very freeing, isn't it? It's very energetic. I think one of the things that lessens the stress with all of us, and I learned this lesson myself because I used to compartmentalize. Because years ago when I taught stress management across the country and in the UK, we would tell people, know what your roles are. R-O-L-E-S. It's my bilingual Southern roles. R-O-L-E-S, okay? And so know what your roles are. You know, I'm a teacher, or I'm an aunt, or I'm a cousin, or I'm a wife, or a husband, or, you know, I'm this or that, and I know what my roles are. And I developed this compartmentalizing, like this is work, and this is play, and this is more fun, and this is the moments I let go, or whatever. And I would compartmentalize my life. This is when I was working, and I would take on the work demeanor. This is when some of you are grandparents and you take on spending the day with the grandchild demeanor. right? Or whatever it is, compartmentalizing all seriousness is we compartmentalize. This is work, this is retirement. We have people that are retired that aren't even comfortable with the word retired. It's really entitlement, you know. But it's compartmentalizing, like we label things. And when we label things, we have energy attached to those labels. I think that was one of the beautiful teachings of Jesus and other avatars that walked the planet, is they were very clear. They had one mission statement. Jesus's was, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And that's all you need to know. He didn't say, well, this is the day that I'm healing. Takes a lot of energy to do healing for people, right? And I'm going over to the office to do the healing, and this is the day that I'm going to do the fun miracle stuff like walk on water and stuff. And this is the day that people are going to be taking my energy because everybody needs my help and they're always coming at me. Are you getting the picture? What did he say? I'm the way, the truth, and the life. My mission statement is, I am life and energy wherever I go, period. That's it. All those titles, all those labels, all that energy. It's like you draw from that. Oh, so what is yours? What is your one statement about you? That is what you draw from. That is what you live by. That is what you identify with. That is what you make the connection with. Because it will bring to you life, and it will bring to you a life even when you die. You will take that life with you wherever you go. That same energy. I was so upset this week about saying goodbye to Peggy in human form. But when I knew that she had done her astrology work and she said the eclipse is coming and more than likely things are going to be changing with me, I thought, wow, here's a person that is dying the way she has been living. Are you with me? When we can say that and hold that we die and we live the same way. It's not because of the way we live, it makes us die. Because of the way we live, we never lived. It's about a vibrant essence that whatever we face and I love shouters, so you can go ahead. You know, whatever we do, it brings us to that place, you say. It brings us to that awareness. Reverend Allen, his favorite was, be still and know that I am God. And he emphasized that. Most people leave that off. Be still and know I am God. It's the that is the most important part that we resonate with, because that's what we have a choice about, you see. How many of you have a that right now in your life? We're not taking photos. How many of you have a that? You said, how did that happen to me? Or I've got a that in my life. They may have names. They might be your children. You might be going home to them later today. Or after today's talk, much later. I'm not sure. But how many of you have a that in your life? Yes, you have a that. Be still and know that. Be comfortable with that. Be comfortable with that which appears right now to be working against you. It will wind up being the greatest bridge that connects you to the greatest part of your heart. You have my word on that, right? But it's bringing it in. It's loving it. It's experiencing it. The other part about an amazing life that is envisioned is that you must, I mean that to be a strong word, you must learn to ask for what you want. To ask for what you want. Don't be silent. Not everybody is psychic. Not everybody's intuitive. A man tells a story about his daughter that is going to be performing in Italy, and he wanted so much to go, but he had not enough money to pay for the flight. And he figured it up that it would cost him an additional $3,000 to the money that he had. But he got online and he looked and he figured out, and he was acting as if he was going to go anyway. And he shared with a friend that he was sorry he wasn't going to be able to go. And that friend told another friend of his. And that friend called him and said, I want you to do some work for me. I'm going to go ahead and pay you in advance. And I'd like to pay you and pay it forward $3,000. What do you think about that? And he said, you have touched my heart today. And she said, maybe so, but you don't understand. This morning, I prayed for someone to need me. And you have made my day today. When BB and I first got together, we reiterated to each other that it was for life. And we had a song that was our favorite song. And we would sing it together whenever we would get together. And it would be 10 years from now, and I'll be dancing with you and everything. And we're on our second 10 now. Thank you. I'm smart. No, I'm blessed. But for one of our anniversaries, I always dreamed that I would meet somebody that I could be romantic with. And more importantly, I gave myself permission that I deserved romance, you see. I just want you to catch that second part. But I always dreamed who I would be as a romantic. And so I heard that this musician that sang this song was going to be at Unity Village. And so I called him in Kansas City, and I said, I heard you're in town, and you don't really know me, but I said, this is a song that's very important. And would you be willing? I'll pay you. Tell me what you need, what you want. If you could just go to the chapel there, it's about an 800-seat activity center. If you could just be there, and you could play this song when BB comes in, and it would just be so special to us. And so she's up there, and we walk into the activity center, and she said, we can't go in there. Somebody's playing the piano. And I said, they're probably rehearsing it. It's okay. This is a big place. We're not bothering him, And so we go up on stage, and I said, imagine this. And all of a sudden, he went into this, 10 years from now, you're lying here next to me, And she started crying. Well, if you don't know me well enough to know, I cry about everything. If you don't know that, you missed that, and I'm sorry, but I do. I cry if a bug dies. I cry. Anyway, so I start crying, but that wasn't unusual, because, that's what you do. But the guy that was playing the piano, who hardly knew us, was squalling. He was like wailing, and we're like, what's going on with this guy? What's up, So we waited around to see what was going on with him. He said, you have no idea. Reverend Temple, last week I was thinking about ending my life. I didn't think I mattered. And he said, and you called me out of the blue and said that you've been listening to my music all these years, and that music had changed your life. He said, it woke me up out of my despair. And he said, it altered my experience. When you don't ask, you cheat people from what they could have by your willingness to do so. So the mother looks at her little boy in closing, and she says, son, would you please go out on the porch and get me the broom? And he goes, Mom, I can't go out there, it's dark. And Mom says, well, God's out there, son, it's okay. So he opens the door and he says, God, if you're out there, would you bring the broom to my mother? If that little boy knows to ask God, then why don't you? And why don't I? Bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.